He basically kills him. He shooting him up with a bunch of drugs to kill him so he can be out of the misery.
It should be streaming, but it's not showing up here. And then this should be. There we go. Oh, it just started. They can hear us. We're having a little bit technical difficulties. I'm trying to play an intro video. You know what? Maybe it's because of this. I definitely want to get this played because it's awesome. Don't scare me, please. Okay, if you don't like gore, you're gonna have to look away. There we go. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Welcome to our show of horrors and atrocities. I promise you'll have fun and joy. Step right up, have a seat. It's a show that's sure to treat. Killer clowns and cannibals and psychopaths within your town. No place to run and hide. It's Killy and Kendall's horror review, so here's what's on our mind.
Hello! Okay, I'll be interested to know if this works out. I'm playing around with OBS for the first time. I'm totally inexperienced at this stuff. I'm not seeing us pop up yet here. Hopefully it works. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Owen, can you see us?
Owen, can you see me?
Crap. Let's see. No visual. Okay. Oh man. Okay, I hope this works. Okay, let's see if this works. No, we're not jump scaring you. I'm really trying to. Yay, okay, it works. Okay. Silas just woke up. You're going to do an intro, explain to everybody what our situation is now, living wise, explain to them the movie, give some background, stuff like that. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. What up, y'all? Welcome to the Killer Show. All right, so here's the situation. It's been about 6 months since we did a video. Lots of shit's gone down over the past 6 months. So we're speeding down the street here. About a month and a half, 2 months ago, we filmed the second episode, but that second episode is kind of in limbo right now and never got edited. And so yeah. So this is the official second episode. Past month has been interesting in our lives. Both of us moved in together last Friday, actually. So it's been about a week or so that we got a little house here in Tacoma. Pretty cool. Yeah. So tonight, we actually just got done watching the movie The Cell with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio. And I've seen it a shit ton of times. Kendall's never actually seen it before, though, so I figured it'd be a good movie to do for tonight. Yeah. How many people we got on right now? So I'm just going to drag this out for a couple minutes. until she gets the little guy back into bed. What's up, Owen? House is amazing. We are both loving this place. Yeah, couldn't ask for more. Well, I mean, we could ask for maybe a yard. We didn't really get a yard with this place, but it's pretty much everything we wanted minus a yard. Yes, we did actually. We did hear about the hostage situation. Kendall's brother actually messaged us the night it was happening, asked if we were safe, and we're like, "What the hell?" But yeah, it actually took place probably about 5 minutes away from us down the road. Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened with it, but yeah, we didn't hear anything about it here. I mean, there wasn't any noise or anything from it. I guess some guy tried robbing a store or something. Heard about it the next day. Yes, that is the Parkland area. Parkland usually is uh, known for that kind of weird and sketchy shit. I know there was a gas station right around that same area where the thing took place the other night. That was about a year and a half ago. Um, Convenience store got robbed and somebody got killed. So yeah, that's Parkland Spanaway though for you. Oh, and guess who is actually watching? Tiffany, what's up? Kendall's put inside. He just woke back up. She's put. Oh, here she is. Tiffany's actually on.
Okay, so hopefully that doesn't happen again. God, that would suck. Oh, hi, Brittany. Yes, I did hear about the hostage situation. It's was pretty close to us. I think you know because you know the area we're in. Is he up again? Honestly, if he wakes up again, we might just have to retry another time. But yeah, I did hear about that. So that being said, shall we jump into it? Did you already give?
I kind of gave him the 411 on what was going on with the house and everything, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I'm enjoying it, and that means we've got a lot of stuff that we want to start making and posting to this channel. Just silly creative endeavors and stuff like that. Some sketch comedy. We want to do a cooking show with Braden in full Killjoy garb. It's all going to be really fun. But for tonight, we're going to finally get back to reviewing movies. And as I'm sure Braden has already told you, we are reviewing The Cell, which was a film made in 2000. Now, the opening I wrote down because I thought that it would eventually be symbolic. And I actually think it did turn out to be symbolic because so Jennifer Lopez is in a white dress on a black horse. So the reason it comes, I don't know, I gotta sit there and read into shit for a lot longer before I figure out what that is. But it's almost like, okay, I have a weird thing. When I first saw it, I thought, is that a metaphor, I guess, for death? Because, and I was thinking, I was like, what is that passage that where death is riding on a horse? It's a pale horse.
Yes.
But later on, we see a dog in real life who's white, and in the dream world, he's black. So I don't know. I'm just thinking I read way too far into this stuff.
Something there, or you might be going thinking too far into it.
Probably. So yeah, the film opens in the desert with J-Lo on a black horse dressed in white, and she's riding across this desert, and she comes across this little boy, and I was totally lost at the beginning. I had to have Brayden catch me up to speed.
About 3 minutes in, she's like, "Am I supposed to be completely confused right now?"
Mm-hmm. So essentially, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. Maybe I'm just kind of dumb, but basically the point that you're supposed to get within the first couple of minutes of the film is that there's a psychiatrist, and think like Avatar, only in the other world it's the person's dreams. So you're kind of traveling into another person's dreams. They're in a lab, they hook you up to a big machine, and then you can fall asleep in another person's head, basically, like wake up in another person's head. So the kid whose head she's in is comatose, and she's basically trying to figure out how to like coax him back into waking up.
Yeah.
I was super confused in the beginning, but then I was like, okay. Turned out the kid really had nothing to do with the rest of the movie. I was sitting there waiting to figure out how the kid was going to come back, but well, to my knowledge, he didn't. We actually didn't get to finish the last 2 minutes of the movie because with putting down Silas and eating dinner. Wow. Okay. So, yeah, we're probably a couple minutes left in the movie right now, but we thought we already made a commitment to 10 o'clock. We're going to do 10 o'clock. So yeah, they're basically in like a virtual reality kind of thing, only it's in the movie, it's real, and they're going into another person's dreams. And then we go into this other storyline, which is really confusing at first because you don't understand how this new storyline is going to tie into
what you saw previously.
Yeah, the beginning. So basically, all of a sudden, you start seeing this guy drowning women in tanks, and then essentially what you come to find out is that so he kidnaps them. He keeps them in a tank for like 72 hours just to kind of torture them to thinking that they're still going to have a chance of being out alive. And then he fills the tank up with water and drowns them. Then he takes them home, bleaches them in a tub, rinses them off, and lays them on a table. And then it gets into a weird territory where he's got all these metal
suspension rings.
Suspension rings. And so he basically just like hovers above the corpse and
naked.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that
they're naked. Both people are naked. The corpse and him.
It's pretty obvious that it's like that's how he gets off, which is really creepy. And to be honest, this is something I did note down is that it's a little bit of a harmful thing as far as like the real BDSM community goes, because there are a lot of people, this is something I'm just learning as an adult, that there are a lot of people who are into any given kind of BDSM, and it perpetuates the idea that they're all psychopaths who kill people and want to hurt people and stuff like that. And that, I do think that's a little extreme. So yeah, it's creepy. God damn it, it's raining and I think my cigarettes are outside.
Oh.
Fuck. So yeah, he suspends my hooks. At this point, I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And then you kind of come to find out, it cuts to the detectives who find the corpse, and they're trying to figure out who it is. They kind of figure out who it is. I feel like I've just been talking up a storm, so why don't you go ahead? Here's my notes. I'm gonna save my pack of smokes real quick.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much. Let's see, where's she at here? I really don't need notes. I've seen this movie so many times. Pretty much, from there, they they find a body of this girl that the first person, or that's not the first person, but it's like a seventh victim, and it's the first person in the movie though, victim-wise, that they find. Yeah, it sounds like it out there. Are they okay? Oh, Joy! No, Joy was killed tonight. So they find the body of the first victim of the movie, and pretty much from there they're trying to track down. They're realizing that he's speeding up his murders, and what does he say? Oh, necrophilia. Yeah. There was necrophilia in this movie. Yes. So, anyways, they find the body, and from there they're tracking down, who could be behind it, and they find dog hair on her that is from an albino dog, and from there they track down. One thing leads to another. They find their way back to him, and they go to arrest him, and he suffers from some sort of a seizures.
Yeah, not epilepsy. It's like
some sort of a mental condition that causes seizures. And anyways, when they raid his house, he basically has fallen into a coma, and from there they're trying to find out where the victim is, because the victim isn't at his house, and they end up, the doctor who analyzes them says, you need to talk to this lady, Jennifer Lopez's character, who deals with
psychologist. So in the beginning of the movie, he was going into the child's brain. Exactly. I have to like super explain this to other people because I was too dumb to get it the first time. So,
Yeah.
So
it's okay.
So one of the things that I did really, really like about this movie is that once they did bring Jennifer Lopez into the killer, his name's Carl. I forget the last name. Carl Starger's mind. They kind of showed like the transition like into a brain. So it was like, okay, she goes to sleep and then you see what she's seeing. And it's kind of like how you would think about what it looks like to travel in space almost, where it's like all this stuff flying at you, like different colors and
bombarded with colors and
and then it turns into images of like dolls that are, creepy dolls and like bugs and foliage, and like it's just really creepy, but it was well done. And one thing I noted as well is that the beginning of this movie, I thought to myself as we were watching it, I thought, is this really going to be a horror movie? Did we pick the wrong one? Because it seems right now it's just like kind of a thriller. No, it's a fucking horror movie. But you really don't see that until you get into the brain of the killer, which it does take a while to get to that point. Honestly, I wish that this film would have started out there. I wish they would have skipped the child part and it would have just gone straight to.
Not much of a build up.
Yeah. So I thought once they did get to the point where they made it more of a horror movie, they did a really good job as far as like, when you're watching something creepy and it's like the like it's very like
almost
abrupt
like
movements.
Stop motion.
Yeah, almost like stop motion. They did a really good job of doing that, which even films that strive to be horror don't even nail that sometimes. So I really liked that about it.
Yeah, like I said, that's one thing I've always liked about this movie is the cinematography and the costume design and just the imagery from like the scenes inside his head. Like they're so bizarre and dark and just like kind of fucked up and just like great imagery and just like I said, like the slow motion falling and just the slow motion moving, or even the stop cut motioning and just
and it's so they really did nail what it's like to have dreams where it's like you're looking at this and then it turns into something else and then all of a sudden you're here but you're still with the same person and then you're not with the same person. Like I loved that. They did a really good job of just like the sporadic transitions that aren't related to each other and like really simulate what it's like when you're having a dream.
And just to add too, when basically what had happens, I didn't really get this far into the story. I don't think we should go too far into the actual plot. I think we've kind of covered enough of the plot to kind of give an idea.
Yeah.
But once basically they bring his body to her so she can go into his head and try to find where the last victim is. She's in a tank. It's filling up with water. They don't know where she's at though. They have a live feed that they found in his basement showing the cameras, are pointing at her in the tank, but they don't know where the tank is. So the whole movie is them trying to find out where that tank and where the girl is. So they bring his body to Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Oh,
Jennifer
be
Lopez.
still my heart if it was Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Too many goddamn Jennifer. Jennifer Lopez's character, so she can go into his head and try to coerce him in his head to tell her where the body is.
Because basically the doctor had said he's never going to wake up. It's this special condition he has where
he's gone.
Once that seizure triggers whatever is in his head, he's a vegetable basically for the rest of his life. And so that is why, the detectives were like, you have to find a way to wake him up. We need to figure out where this victim is because she's only got 72 hours. And he's like, oh, wait, I do know how we could do this. So basically, Jennifer Lopez, you almost made me say Jennifer Love Hewitt again. Jennifer Lopez tells them, she's like, this could take months for me to build up his trust inside of his head to get him to tell me things. And then once she goes into his head, she finds out that in his little dreamland, more times than not, he's a child, which, by the way, I did note as well. The child version of the killer is the little brother from Lizzie McGuire. I don't recall what his name is, but I was like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. Yeah. So that was cute. And so she kind of works her way into the adult mind by kind of working through trauma of the child's mind, which I guess in that way it does kind of relate to the beginning, how she's good with children.
Yeah, you're seeing that he had a troubled childhood, abused by his father, beaten by his father, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, inside his mind though, once she's talking to the little boy, and even I think the first time you hear the voice is when she sees the adult version of him. He's doing his ritual with one of the bodies, bleaching him in a bathtub, and they're having kind of a heart-to-heart talk, and he's telling her kind of what's going on in his head, and then she says something to him, and he kind of stands up and kind of backs into a corner of shadows.
Into darkness, yeah.
And then when he reemerges, he's this alternate version of himself who he's
the voice that he hears in his head, and this is something I connected to, the voices he hears in his head that tell him to do shitty things to women is a separate entity. It's almost like a split personality, a separate entity from who he is. And that's something that I noted in the very beginning when he's drowning the woman the first woman you see on the movie. I at first you see him looking at her in the tank, and then she kind of like has a muscle spasm or something, even though she's dead. And he walks away, and I noticed his hand was in his pants, and that's when I said, is he jerking off right now? I was like, is this a sexual thing? And you said, no, he's like resisting that urge. So once it got to that point, it was like, oh, okay, full circle. It's something else that is having these impulses, and he, as like his original self, is trying to fight those impulses. Exactly. And that I think also is why, because the detective says in the beginning too, he either thinks we're too stupid to figure out who he is, or he wants to get caught. So I think he did want to get caught. Like the actual him wanted the alternate him to get caught, which was cool. It was cool symbolism in that way. And I think I read into a lot of that stuff way too much, because there was just inside of Carl's dreamland, there was so much really pretty, like haunting imagery of women. So it was like these beautiful women that parts of them were kind of turned into either like machinery, as far as like, it was like it was a corpse, but she was on a thing that makes her have sex or something. You know what I mean? It's like there were parts of them that were inhuman, but then they still portrayed them so beautifully that
that's what it was. He killed women, then he bleached them and turned them into a doll, toy, basically.
Yeah, which they didn't particularly show any of that, but then they did say that they found a match to his semen inside of the first girl you see, and then they go into his basement and they see lots of different like dolls with like actual dolls with like bird skulls replaced on their heads and broken eyes and just weird stuff like that.
Faces shaved off and
yeah, weird stuff like that in his basement. So it's like he's got. I'm trying to like connect the trauma. I'm so stupid.
there was even a doll, like a Ken doll, a Ken doll. Her name's Kendall. Ken doll. Anyways, there was like a male doll that I don't know if you saw that you saw sitting on a shelf that he had blindfolded.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, there's like so that would be like maybe a metaphor for blinding the doll so he can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Type of scenario, but yeah, lots of weird and
unsettling.
Yeah.
Unsettling imagery, which I like actually a lot. And then I did notice too, they used a lot of miniatures. So they would turn to a different scene inside the Dreamland, and you could obviously tell it was a scene made out of like a dollhouse things. Not like it was obvious because you could tell it was doll furniture or anything like that. It was more like there was a scene where they panned to a house that had the clothes out to dry, and you could tell they were tiny, like for a dollhouse, clothespins and stuff like that. It was just little details like that, which I loved because I love stop motion. So it just added that little layer of like, I liked that a lot.
So real quick, has anybody that's watching have ever seen the movie?
Yeah.
Out of curiosity.
Yeah, because that is something that we wanted to start implementing, which is why we're doing a live show today. We do want to start doing these films live. And here you can read what Tiffany said right there. We want to keep doing these live because one, it takes me forever to edit these when we do film them. And two, I think it kind of puts pressure on us, at least as far as I'm concerned. If I set a time and date, then I will get it done. But otherwise, I'm like, oh, but I'd rather go to sleep. I'd rather, like, I like doing these, but sometimes I need a little, like, kick in the butt to actually be motivated to get stuff done. Shut the fuck up. But so, yeah, we want to kind of turn this into more of like a movie club, like a book club, where we, by the way, follow us right now. I made a Twitter account for us. Follow us at Kendall Kelly. So KENDALLKILLY. I will be tweeting from that, releasing what movies we're going to watch next week. I'm hoping we can do this on an either weekly or possibly bi-weekly basis. We need to talk about that a little more.
Weekly.
Yeah. So we'll be releasing the movies we're going to watch. You guys can go watch during your free time during the week. And then we can come back and we can see what you guys thought of it. We can have back and forth discussions. I think that would be. We can all
chat about it.
Oh my god! I think it would be really fun. So go ahead and follow us on Twitter. The next time, I'll go ahead and make sure that I write that inside of the little studio here.
I totally. Did you read what Tiffany said?
No.
Here? She said, keep reading into it. What about the use of color? Like the black, white
yes.
is obviously dark white. Any other observations about other color symbolism, like red? Lots of red in this movie.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of. There's a lot of black and white colors. Yes.
Green.
There was a lot of green too. Yes. Audio is lost.
Uh-oh.
Lost audio.
How about now? Stop it. Okay, it's back. Okay. Forgive the rough
there we go.
beginning of this because this is my first time ever broadcasting and actually kind of knowing what I'm doing with all of the stuff around us. So we're working on it. Next time it'll be a little bit more clean cut. Oh, and you said that we could, you guys could hear the audio for the intro. If you didn't get to watch that, wait until we're done streaming. Rewind this to the beginning and watch that because Braden made it and it's an amazing video. I absolutely love it and I'm excited to use it in the future. But yeah, I did see a lot of symbolism with black and white because like I said, opening scene, J-Lo on a black horse wearing white.
Right, yes.
And then the albino dog, they made sure to talk about the dog being albino, but then once they went in the dream world, they did show the dog black. Same dog, but it was black. And I'm like, what's it mean?
And what was the dog doing? The dog was next to a bathtub filled with blood.
And shaking
and
the blood off.
the blood off of it.
Yeah.
So there's the red blood there.
Yeah.
Lots of blood symbolism throughout. You see lots of droplets of blood throughout the movie. And even the whole scenario when J-Lo gets lost and the outfit she's wearing and she's surrounded by red.
Oh, yeah,
the couch that she's sitting on is red, and she even had red in her hair too.
Oh, yeah. So then, let's see. Okay. There was a really funny comic relief moment that made me laugh really hard, where they had figured out who he was. It was the detectives. They were trying to figure out who the killer was. They finally figured out who he was, and they show Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn is the cop.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn's the detective. They show Vince Vaughn in the car, and he's looking at a picture of Carl, and he said, "You're the bad man, aren't you, Carl?" And then immediately it cuts to a scene of Carl in the bathtub squirting water, like putting water in his mouth and spitting it out like in a stream, and it was just
laying on his back, and he's just like
filling it up like a child. It was fucking hilarious. And now I guess that I'm saying it out loud, I guess maybe that is just kind of a glimpse into his brain that he is very childlike, and that in his head he's still kind of a kid. So that made me laugh a lot. There was another thing where they kind of quoted Nightmare on Elm Street. They said, it's just like the old wives' tale. If you die in your dream, you die in real life, where if you're in like this dream, the simulator or whatever, it's not really a simulator because it's real. Yeah. If you're in somebody else's dream and you die in that dream, you basically can convince yourself inside your own mind that it's real, and then you could never wake up again. But it made me laugh when they said, if you die in your dream, you die in real life.
You'll be visited by a horribly burned man.
Another thing I did observe as well was when
Ooh, good point. Good call on Vertigo, Tiffany.
I've never seen Vertigo.
I actually was going to suggest Vertigo for a future movie.
We'll have to take a poll.
Great
we'll
movie.
Do Twitter polls for the next movies we do.
Hitchcock movie.
So then the same scene you were talking about where he kind of shows her the process where there's the girl in the bathtub and everything he's wearing. That was another thing I noticed too. He was wearing rubber gloves when he was himself. And then once it transitioned to the voice, so like the other entity, he just had gold hands up to here.
Yeah.
But there wasn't gloves.
Yeah, I never noticed that actually until this viewing of it too. I think, I don't know if they had, I think what it was they had his body painted down to his shoulders, and I think everything else was just regular flesh color. So it looked like it was colored differently. I don't know.
You mean that's the way they did the effect, or that's what they meant to do?
I don't know if that's what they meant to do. That's just what it looked like they did. I couldn't tell if they had his arms painted or if his arms were just normal. And
I think he was covered in white, but I think they did make it.
But yeah, I've never noticed that before until this viewing too. So ironic that we would both notice that. It's almost as if we share a brain.
We literally have so many weird coincidences happen in one day, guys. You don't even know. So when he was showing the process of how he kills women, not only the glove thing, but also she said, "Where's Julia so-and-so?" And he said, "No names." He didn't want the names. And so that kind of tells us right there that there is a part of his brain that is still very much human, that doesn't like what he's doing and doesn't want to humanize those girls, which I thought was pretty cool. Another really a really pretty part. Okay, so this guy's got suspension hooks all down his back. They walk in, and there is he's sitting on a throne, and all around him are these really pretty, vibrant purple curtains, whole floor to ceiling, all over the walls.
And it's this little giant room that he's in.
Yeah. And so he stands up and he starts walking, and you find out the curtains are attached to his back, and they kind of like start coming off of the wall as he walks, and then like drape behind him like a
Yeah.
cape. That was really pretty. I was really
Like I
impressed
said,
with that.
That's one thing about this movie. The visuals in here are so amazing.
Yeah, it was
The
really
costume
beautiful.
design and the colors and just everything about it. Just it's a trippy movie to watch.
Yeah. But so that was one of the symbolisms that I really picked up on was I wrote down beauty, art, and death, because truly everything in this man's head was an art installation.
The
And
horse.
the horse, everything. So
There's a scene where he's petting a horse as a child, and when Jennifer Lopez comes in, she sees him and she's trying to befriend him, and she goes over and pets the horse, and he runs away, and you see a
he
clock.
pushed her out of the way,
A clock timing down, and he's freaking out, and he runs and pushes her, and then just as he pushes her, she falls to the ground, and these giant glass plates slide down over the horse and cut it into pieces, and then they all separate.
like nose to tail cut
Yeah,
to pieces.
and you see the horse fragmented into different slides, but yet it's still breathing, and the ears are still moving, so the horse is still alive. It's just
You described that way better than I could have. I was like, duh, the horse got cut. Like,
The
I don't
horse got
know. Yeah, everything in his brain is totally an art installation.
It really
but
is.
It's this theme of beauty and death coming together. Like the women, so there was one I wrote down as well. There's when basically eventually, without going too far into detail, eventually the detective has to go in to save Jennifer Lopez because she's gotten lost in Carl's brain, if that made sense. Once he gets there, he wakes up and he sits up, and there's three women, and they're all sitting with their knees kind of to their chest like this, with their mouths up.
I think
And
they're
then-
identical. They're almost
the same
identical.
woman.
If it's the same woman, or if it's just got
Yeah.
triplets, or if they had just a woman, I don't know what it is, but it's three identical women.
Yeah, and then one by one, they're all sitting there like statues for a couple minutes, and then one by one, they turn their heads, say something without moving their bodies, and they're all kind of saying conflicting stuff. Like the first one's like, "Please take care of my baby," and the second one's like, "My son is the Antichrist. He has no soul," or like something weird, like,
Yeah.
or "A son is an abomination," or and then I forget what the third one says, but it was just like very haunting. That was another one of those like stop motion-y kind of scenes where it was like, ooh, that fucking got me. And what were we watching? Oh, okay. When Vince Vaughn goes after Jennifer Lopez, we're watching again that transition into another brain with all the colors and stuff, and I literally went, oh, I feel like I'm being engulfed in something, because they just did such a good job of just like really making it a visual, like, you know, like the old remember when you could play music on the computer and then you could put on all the colors that just like keep going and you could just like get lost in it? Yeah, it's like that. It was so cool. It was just like, oh my God, I could start drooling right now. So then let's see. I'm just seeing if I missed anything. Okay. So baptism. The movie, this is my last note, and then we can kind of finish it up or whatever you want to do. Baptism is a central theme of this as well, which as atheists, I think I'm more than happy to talk about the toxicity behind those things. Essentially, this all comes down to Carl's obsession with floating in water and drowning and weightlessness that water brings and stuff like that. His seizure happens in the tub. He drowns women. He likes to be suspended, all of these things. And the first thing that she sees when Jennifer Lopez sees when she enters his mind is his father baptizing him. But I think his father left him underwater for too long. He was kind of freaking him out. He thought he was drowning. He like pushed him under the water a lot. And that all tangles in together. You keep hearing about it over and over again. Oh, well, you should let him feel weightless. It makes him comfortable. He drowns women in water, all of these things. And then at the very end, well, I haven't seen all of it yet.
Well, also, don't forget, too, she asks him when the first time the voice talked to him, were you in water?
Yeah,
and he says it was when I was baptized.
Yeah.
And he talks about being put underwater, and his dad forced him underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he had a seizure, and he thought he was going to drown, and he was going to die.
Yeah. And then before he went comatose, he was in the tub. Like we were talking about that scene. He was in the bathtub and then he had a seizure. And then the doctor even said sometimes the seizures can be triggered by being in water. Well, then at the very end, he says she goes back into his brain after they already find the victim or the missing girl and everything like that. And he's saying to her, one time I found a bird and my dad was scared of what I was going to do to it. So I think he said I held it underwater and let it drown and I saved it. He thought he did a good thing. He's like, I saved the bird. And she says, I'm not going to do that for you, because he basically wants her to drown him to kind of end his suffering. And she says, I won't do that. Okay, I assumed. So I guess that is what happens at the end of the movie. So yeah,
End of the movie, she gets out of the dream world, and she's pretty much right when we shut it off. Was she locked herself in the room and she was preparing to inject him with a bunch of stuff to kill him.
Okay. So yeah,
he would be out of his misery.
Yeah. So yeah, it's all. I'll have to do some reading and kind of see what other people have seen about like all these symbolisms and stuff, because I can tell this is a really fucking deep movie and it goes way past a lot of things, because I don't even think I usually pick up on things like this, but the fact that I did kind of shows that they really were putting it in your face to like give you hints that something else was going on.
Yeah. Well, another movie like that goes into like what Tiffany was saying too, use of colors and stuff. Sixth Sense was a big one for use of color. The use of red in that movie was, when you first watch it the first time through, you don't really notice as much, but every time you go back and view it, anytime you see red in the movie, it's a big symbolizing factor. It symbolizes stuff.
Red doorknob?
Yeah, red doorknob, exactly.
What's red doorknob?
From The Sixth Sense.
Oh.
So.
So overall,
great movie.
I haven't seen it for years.
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that on our own time, because nobody wants to watch a review of The Sixth fucking Sense.
Spoil the end of it. Anybody who doesn't know how that movie ends, they've been in a cave the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Red color is a stimulating color, I assume you meant. Yeah. So overall, was this the best movie I've ever seen? I probably wouldn't watch it again. I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but it's not one of those ones where I'm like, oh my God, I need to see this again.
Like I said, I just like watching it just because of the
But it was good. I mean, it was good.
It's probably, I don't know, it's been out for 18 years. I've probably seen it 10 times.
Yeah.
Probably, but that's mostly, I don't think I've ever gone and put it on just because, like, hey, I want to watch this. It'll be on TV and like, oh yeah, I haven't seen this for a while. But yeah, just like I said, it's one of those. Anytime I see it on, I like to watch it just because
it is good.
The visuals in it are just so amazing.
It was good.
And
I wish
the like King version of himself in his head is so fucking cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I think I'd like to watch this I'd say, without the beginning story, and maybe even some kind of higher stakes or something. I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't
the beginning of it though
tick my box.
Kind of is necessary though, because it sets up the process. It sets up the dream world. It sets up her as a character, how empathetic she is, and she feels these people and feels that need to want to help them. She's not just some regular psychiatrist or psychologist, not psychiatrist, psychologist.
Yeah.
So it sets up her character and sets up. It sets up. I mean, in the opening sequence, what was it? 5 minutes, maybe. It's not that. I think it was very necessary to set up the storyline. Yeah, does it kind of make you go, am I supposed to be confused right now?
If
maybe
you're me, it does.
If you're her. But I mean, I think it's necessary.
Like I said, I didn't hate it. It was a good movie overall. I just it just didn't get me as much as I wish it would have. I wish it would have been more disturbing from the beginning almost, I think. Because you really don't see that like really, really gross imagery until later. And I guess that's like I love being really unsettled to the point where I'm like, ooh, God, you know? It's like, for me, horror movies are like chasing a high because nothing scares me. And so it's just like,
I'm telling you, I have the movie that'll do it.
No, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to vomit. I just want to be scared. There's a study that indicates that red possibly elicited an anxiety state and therefore caused a higher level of brain activity in the areas of perception and attention stimulating.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And that's actually funny you should mention that too. That's kind of, I saw an interview with Wes Craven, and he was asked why he chose the colors red and green for Freddy's sweater. And you know the answer to this? This is very interesting. He chose those two colors because he had read somewhere that seeing the colors red and green next to each other are they're the two colors hardest for the brain to process at the same time. So seeing red and green, it makes your brain work harder to process those two colors.
That's weird.
And that's the reason why Freddy's sweater was red and green.
That's weird. They are opposites, right? I think they are. Yeah, red and green are opposites.
Well, for the most part, yeah. Green is...
I mean, on the color wheel.
Yeah, green is blue and yellow. It should be opposite of red on the primary colors.
I'm too dumb. It's too late. I just need to stop.
I mean, technically they are.
Do you want to give your final thoughts?
I mean, I love this movie. Like I said, is it something I would just out of the blue, hey, it's Wednesday night, I think I'll watch The Cell tonight? No, but like I said, it's anytime I see it on TV, I definitely will sit and watch it. That's every time I've watched it since the first time I watched it has been usually on TV. Even though I've owned it, this is probably the second or third time I've watched my DVD that I've owned in the 18 years I've owned it, probably.
Yeah.
But I really like this movie. I really do. Like I said, just the visual aspect of it is just, it's one of those you watch not necessarily for the story, but just to go, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I smoked weed, this would 100% be one of the movies I would get high and watch.
I don't know if I'd be able to watch this movie on any sort of psycho.
I wish I could find out, but I don't. Yeah, I don't partake in that. Just don't like it personally. But.
I like to keep my feet on the ground.
Yeah. Well,
I pass on grass all the time.
I pass on grass. All right, you guys. I think we're about done here. I'm comfortable with ending the stream now. Next time, I promise it will be a lot cleaner. We'll be way more prepared. Things will be good. Hopefully, maybe I can get babysitter so we don't have to worry about interruptions with the child.
Just knock him out.
Please don't. I need
nap time. That nap time commercial.
No.
Also, I don't remember if you actually said this too. Comment, on the video here and give us some suggestions on different movies too.
Yeah, or we're always happy with constructive criticism, whatever you'd like to hear us talk about, or what we could have done better, what we can do better next time, things like that. And yeah, make sure you follow us at Kendall Killy on Twitter. That's where I'm going to be probably releasing all the information as far as like what movies we're going to watch, when we're going to go live and stuff like that. I will be, at some point, we will come to a consensus this week about how often we want to stream, what times, what days, and stuff like that. And I will be releasing that information on Twitter as well. So yeah, that's it for me.
That's it for Killy.
I hate you. All right, you guys. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.